called in the world Shabbos Hagodol Drasha. Shabbos Hagodol. The first thing is, what is Shabbos? Why is it called Shabbos Hagodol, the great Shabbos? The first answer that's given, because a great miracle happened on Shabbos. We're referring to the Shabbos before Pesach. The Yidden went out from Mitzrayim on the 15th of Nisan, which is, like this year, Thursday. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that 4 days before, you have to take the lamb, which is the idol of the Egyptians, and you tie that to your bed, which came out, again, like this year, the 10th of Nisan. So tomorrow, Mirza Hashem, will be the 10th of Nisan. So in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, it was also on the 10th of Nisan. But we're not celebrating the date. Hopefully we'll discuss this later. It happened on Shabbos, so this is the Shabbos Hagodol. What is actually the nes that happened? When the Yidden took their Korban Pesachs and they tied it to their bed, the Bchorim, the eldest of the families in Egypt, came to the Yidden and asked them, what is this all about? What are you doing? So they said, this is a Korban. We're going to slaughter this as a Korban Pesach. Because if the Yidden are not going, if the Egyptians will not allow the Yidden to leave Egypt, the Bechor, the oldest of the family in every family, will die. We call that Makas, the plague of the Bechoros. So they went to the parents and to Paroi, and they said, please let the Yidden go. We want to live. The Egyptians, Paroi, said, no, we don't want to do it. So became a big war, and a lot of Egyptians got killed. Mirza Hashem, tomorrow, before Baruch She'omar, we're going to say a chapter, and we're going to say that Lemake Mitzrayim Bivchereha. The simple pshat means that Hashem gave the plague of Makas Bechoros. But it also means Lemake Mitzrayim. The Egyptians were smitten by the Bechorim, by the firstborn, and it refers to the Shabbos before Pesach that the Egyptians got killed. Every year they fix that miracle, that Shabbos before Pesach. Now the question is going, I mentioned before, all the holidays, all the festivals goes by the date. Doesn't make a difference what day of the week it is. But as the 10th of Nisan is Miriam's, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron's sister, she passed away on the 10th of Nisan, and sometimes it's fast day, the one comfortable to make a festival on the 10th of Nisan, so they made it of Shabbos. The Rebbe goes in to explain, within the history there's happened many, many miracles. Why is this miracle so special that for this we have a special Shabbos and we say it's a big miracle? What makes this miracle unique than other miracles? And the Rebbe explains, we know that our goal is, the greatest goal is that when darkness is turned into light. Over here we have seen Klippe, opposition of God Kedusha. And they were in their full strength, because after that war, the Yidden were still in exile. The Yidden were not freed yet. That shows you that Klippe was still in full force. Nevertheless, the Klippe has done a job for the Yidden. That evil smit and destroyed evil, even though they were thinking for their own sake. But the fact is that the choshech, that the darkness has done a shlichus, has done a mission to help you. You may ask the question, not too long ago, celebrated Purim, and over there we also used two words, v'napoichu, that the opposition has turned around. But there's two major differences between Purim and Shabbos Hagodol. Purim, who turned around? King Achashverosh. Instead of making Haman for such a great guy, he took Haman's home and gave it over to Mordechai and Esther. But the rest of the people, we don't learn that they turned around. Also, if you read the details of Purim, Queen Esther was Jewish. And the Queen Esther asked Achashverosh to be nice to the Yidden. Here we are talking that the Egyptians killed the Egyptians. No, the Yidden didn't ask for it. They weren't messengers from the Yidden. They, the Klippe, did it on its own. So this is a uniqueness that the darkness, being dark, being choshech, being an opposition, and they still worked and they helped Kedusha and turned around. We walk away from here. We walk away from here, the Rebbe says, that when the Yidden make a declaration that we are going to have a Geula, that's what exactly happened here. When their neighbors asked the Yidden, what is all this about? And they told them there's going to be Geulas Mitzrayim, we are going to go out from Golis. That made such a strong impression, and that actually brought them to have this fight and work for Kedusha. The same thing we Yidden have to make a declaration, we have to be strong, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is speedily going to give us a Geula, and that will speed up the Geula Bekoroiv Mamesh. Now we're going to go the Shabbos before Pesach, about the Yom Tov Pesach. The Alter Rebbe summarizes the Yom Tov of Pesach, and he says there are 8 mitzvahs, 3 positive mitzvahs, and 5 mitzvahs lo yisase. 1, not to eat chometz from the 14th of Nisan midday onwards. 2, to destroy the chometz from the world after midday. 3, you shouldn't see any of your chometz the entire Pesach. Number 4, you shouldn't possess chometz. Number 5, you shouldn't eat any chometz the entire Pesach. You shouldn't, 6, you shouldn't eat chometz that is mixed with other food. Number 7, to eat matzah the night of Pesach. Number 8, to discuss and to tell about the miracles of the Yidden going out from Mitzrayim. The laws of Pesach, you got a lot to read. Shabbos is a time, hopefully you'll be able to have a chance to go through all the schedules, all the guides for Pesach. Already mentioned several times that from Avodim, after Minche, we read from Avodim Hayinu, because the beginning of the miracles, the beginning of Geula, of redemption, started on Shabbos. We also come to the great day, which comes right after Shabbos, the 11th of Nisan. Shabbos, according to the Zohar, brings the blessing for the entire week. So the day of Yud Aleph Nisan, say a special L'chaim, it's the day of the Rebbe's day. The Rebbe's day is called Mazlei Goiver. The mazel of the Rebbe overpowers on the day of his birthday. We have heard numerous times that the Rebbe is the Nosi who Hakoil, is everyone. So that means that our mazel also overpowers on the 11th of Nisan, and the preparation starts on Shabbos. So if the Rebbe's mazel overpowers, it's a mazel of all of us. But Hasidus tells us that even though Hashem is good to us and kind to us, when we make a preparation, all of the revelations from heaven are in a much, much greater level. So we all know what the Rebbe wants from us, what he said to us: help other Yidden, strengthen Avos Yisrael, strengthen Chitas, learn the Rambam, see that Yidden mifza matzah, have matzah. It's all said, and we all heard this many times, so we should all do this with more strength. A word about the Rebbe. What's there to say about the Rebbe? Endless. Let me share with you a small story of the famous tzaddik, what we mention him very often, Reb Zusha, of the two brothers, Reb Zusha and Reb Elimelech. When the Alter Rebbe agreed that the Tanya should be printed, but they had to have an haskoma, an approbation. One of them was Reb Zusha from Anipoli. So messengers came to Reb Zusha and said, they didn't call him Alter Rebbe, must have called him Reb Zalman, however they expressed, haskoma, approbation for Tanya. Uy, bring me a lot of paper, bring me a lot of ink. And he starts to write a long thing. Then he said, no, it won't do it. Because even if I'll write pages and pages and pages, it will not be a proper description. So there's no help. We don't have a choice. Just give me a small piece of paper, a little bit of ink, and in a few lines, I will write something about Rabbi Zalman and his writings. Just, there's endless. Days and nights won't be enough to talk about the Rebbe, each individual, what the Rebbe did for him, what the Rebbe felt for him, but we have to do in a few lines. And that is that the Rebbe is the Rebbe for us of Emunah. Go back to the first Rebbe. The first Rebbe is Moshe Rabbeinu, Raya Mehemnet, the Zohar calls him, a trustful shepherd. But it also means Raya Mehemne, he's a shepherd. He instills in us Emunah. Moshe Rabbeinu's extension is in every generation. Again, numerous times have we heard the expression as the Rebbe is the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation. And not by coincidence is the Rebbe's birthday right before Pesach. Pesach is the Yom Tov of Emunah. Matzah is the faith, is the food of faith. And the Rebbe is the one who gives us, inspires us, strengthens us with Emunah. How much in a time like now that we could use it and make the best of it by strengthening our bond to the Rebbe and by strengthening our Emunah in the Rebbe and in HaKodesh Baruch Hu. So this is Yud Aleph Nisan for us. As we mentioned before, everybody knows what the Rebbe wants from us. And if anybody has any doubts, let him make a calculation. He knows what the Rebbe wants from somebody else, and then transfer it to yourself. You'll be clear, not confused. You'll know exactly what you need to do. From Yud Aleph Nisan, we have another great day, and that is the 13th of Nisan. The 13th of Nisan also means something special to us. It's the Yortzeit of the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek. Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek is the lineage of our Rebbe to the Chabad Rebbeim. That's called Bein Achar Bein, son after son, till the Tzemach Tzedek is the Rebbe's, and the Rebbe's special connection to the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek. The famous Chassid that we mention him often, and we had this chus and the joy and the simcha that Mendel Futter Vasova Shalom would come to visit us every year in Cleveland. And one day he asks me, I should list to him 6 things that the Rebbe was similar to the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek. So I was able to come up with 5. The same name. The Rebbetzin is the same name. The Rebbe Chaim Mushke, Tzemach Tzedek's Rebbetzin was also Chaim Mushke. Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek's father was not a Rebbe. And they both, the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek and our Rebbe, printed books in Nigla, the revealed part of Torah, and Chassidus, and the Pnimis HaTorah. The 2 of them, the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek and our Rebbe, they both were Marich Yomim after 70. The 6th one, be honest, I couldn't come up, and he told me that both of them, our Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, would use the expression Kein Yehi Rotza. Many times when the Rebbe would give a wish, the Rebbe would say, so shall it be the will of Hashem. And this was also the lotion of the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek. Now, unfortunately, but we could also add 2 more. There is 2, which of the Rebbeim do you have an oil of 2 Rebbeim together? The Alter Rebbe is buried alone, the Mittel Rebbe is buried alone, the Rebbe Rashab is buried alone, and the Friedrich Rebbe and the Rebbe is together, and the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek is together with his son, the Rebbe Maharash. And the other thing is, unfortunately, they both became widowers, that the Rebbetzins passed away during their lifetime. Given all together, so for us, it's a special day, the day of the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek, that we should do what we have to do. We should increase in Torah, Avodah, Tzedakah, Avos Yisrael, and that will strengthen us the connection to the Rebbeim of Chabad. Then, interesting that on the 2nd day of Pesach, it says in Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down in the customs, we should do something to commemorate the meal of Esther. The meal of Esther was done. You read this whole story of a king Achashverosh and Esther and Haman, and Achashverosh gets so angry with Haman, and he says, away, he should be killed, he should be hanged. All that happened on the 2nd day of Pesach. So the Shulchan Aruch says we should mention it on the 2nd day. So the Rebbe asks a question. On Pesach, when we celebrate the going out of Egypt, what's the point in talking about Purim? Pesach was a complete Geula, a complete redemption. Purim, it was like a great help, but the Yidden still remained to be under Achashverosh. So what's the point in mentioning Purim during Pesach? And the Rebbe goes in, but the famous Gemara, that the Gemara says that Purim is greater than the day that Hashem gave the Yidden the Torah. Because one was Hashem revealing himself to the Yidden, but Purim is something that the Yidden on their own, the Mesiras Nefesh, the devotion of the Yidden, they accepted the Torah willingly on their own. He knows these famous terms in Hasidus, Isaruso diltato, his oireres, an arousal from the bottom upwards. So this is so special that Purim, Pesach, we emphasize in the Hagodol the greatness that Hashem revealed himself to the Yidden, the King of all kings. But the words that we use in the Hagodol, Niglo Aleya, it was revealed to them, upon them. But Purim is something which comes, is Arusa D'Leila. And that's connected. That Pesach Eliyahu Hanovi comes. Eliyahu Hanovi comes, and what is Eliyahu Hanovi going to do? What do we want from Eliyahu? He should tell us about the Geula with Moshiach. The Geula with Moshiach will be so special that it will have the advantage of both things. It will have the advantage of HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealing himself to us, which is very great revelations of lights that we on our own can't reach to it. But at the same time, Moshiach will bring even tzaddikim to do tshuva. Tshuva comes from the bottom upwards. So this is the combination of both. The great revelations coming from Shamayim to us, and the great advantage that things come, what's called Milmata L'maylo, from the bottom upwards, which is a very great pnimius. So this is going to be higher than always tzaddikim, tshuva. It's going to be a combination of tzaddikim and Bali tshuva together. The Yidden will be in both levels. So that's why we make this combination of Pesach and Purim together. The great advantage of having the great lights, and at the same time, it's going to be from down upwards, which reaches, penetrates very deep into us. The words in Hasidus, it goes deeper, bipnimius. Back to what we started about Shabbos Hagodol. Shabbos Hagodol, the Alter Rebbe says that the Rav should teach the people what to do, and then he says to them, L'hoira Islam, to guide them, Darkei Hashem. What does it mean, Darkei, the ways of Hashem? We understand it's a time of halacha to teach people what to do, to teach people what not to do, but why does he make such a statement to teach them Darkei Hashem? And what does it mean? What are the ways of Hashem besides mitzvahs aseh, mitzvahs lo aseh? What else is left? And the Rebbe explains, similar to what we just went through in Tanya, that if you do mitzvahs without intentions, it's like a goof, like a body without a neshama. Which means, if Darkei Hashem refers that every Yid should learn Hasidus, that will bring him to love and fear to Hashem. If you don't have love and fear to Hashem, then you're doing the mitzvahs, fine, but there's missing a chayus, there is missing a life. Guf, the body is a very good thing, but the neshama is chayus, is life, vitality. This is also the job of the Rav, not only to teach them the dinim, also to remind them, to refresh them, that they should learn some chassidus about Pesach especially, and that will strengthen their emunah, that will give them some love, that will give them some awe, some fear for Hashem, and they will do all these mitzvahs with a chayes, with a gishmak, and they will feel good. This is something that everybody should take in his mind, which is also then connected to Shabbos Hagodol. Baruch Hashem, we went through many dinim, we went through many laws. What is left? What is left is still something about Pesach, is some practical halacha that we haven't mentioned till now. And that is, which is the most part of our life today that needs a special cleaning, a special taking care of it, and that is something which is part of our body, connected to us. Unfortunately, it's part of our neshama, and that's called cell phone. That has been in our life, it has been in our table, it has been in our eating, our meals, everywhere. In addition to having a good cleaning, the suggestion is to cover it with something, whatever you could, for Pesach. And it will be most appropriate, which everybody would agree, not to have the cell phone on your eating table during Pesach. It is hard, but this is something so special about the Yom Tov of Pesach. Yom Tov of Pesach is that the Yidden call it Pesach, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls it Chag HaMatzos. What's the difference? So the Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchever explains. The Yidden want to express what Hashem has done for them. Passover. He jumped over all the Egyptians' homes, and the Yidden were spared. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's Chag HaMatzos, that the Yidden say goodbye. They tear themselves away of their habit, what they eat a whole year, and they change their meals, they change their food, they go over to Chag HaPes, to Chag HaMatzos, and they eat the matzahs. Each one brings out the greatness of the other one. Hashem brings out the greatness of the Yidden, and the Yidden bring out the greatness of Hashem. So this is something which we have to all be careful not to bring the cell phone to the table. Keep it away, because this is something which has been all over Chometz. And that will be very precious by Hashem, that the Yidden are able to overcome to their habits. Rabbi Friedman, you want some questions? No.
No.
It's Erev Shabbos. Again, we thank Rabbi Friedman, even though he works for Chabad, but he's still also busy, and he also has his family and Chabad a lot of work. So we thank him very much for giving us the chance to, first of all, to learn Torah is great, to talk about Shabbos Hagodol is great, and also to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that even though we don't have the regular Shabbos Hagodol Drasha, but a Yid always finds a way still to get his way and fulfill what Hashem is. And that's whose Hashem will give us good minyonim, He will give us free mikvoes, and we should be able to fulfill the mitzvahs in an easy way. For those people who have to fulfill the mitzvahs, no minyan, no shul, all that, let me share with you what it says in famous book called Sipurei Hasidim from Rabbi Zevin, which is also translated in English. It brings a story about a tzaddik, that one of his Hasidim had to fast, couldn't fast on Yom Kippur, and he had to eat. And that Chosid comes to Shul Yom Kippur and is very, very sad. The tzaddik calls him over and says, "My dear, why are you so sad?" So he says, "Well, I have to eat on Yom Kippur." So he said, "Who told you that you have to eat?" The doctor. Who told you that you have to listen to the doctor? The Torah. Who is the Torah? The Torah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem. Right? So he says, "My dear Chosid, are you allowed to make surgery when you don't have to on Shabbos?" No, that's called violating the Shabbos. And tell me, when a Yid makes a bris on Shabbos, have you ever seen a Yid making a bris on Shabbos and circumcision and saying, oy vey, I am Mechal Shabbos, I'm breaking the Shabbos? No, Chosid said, that's the mitzvah. So he says, "My dear, this is your mitzvah. Your mitzvah is now to eat on Yom Kippur. And just like a Yid makes a bris on Shabbos, that's his mitzvah, and he's supposed to be happy, the same should be by you now. You should be happy that you are fulfilling Hashem's mitzvah." So this is what we're doing. We haven't chosen that. That's what Hashem wants for us. Yes, we should express our longing that we want things change, but we should be mekabel b'simcha. Shabbos should be b'simcha, and Yom Tov would be b'simcha, and Hashem will see that we are b'simcha. So the same face Hashem will show to us, and He will reveal Himself. Because the whole thing that Hashem hides Himself from us is for one point, to reveal our pnimius. And you see, the Yidden express how much they are missing that Hashem is not revealed to us. We could fulfill the mitzvahs in a revealed way, so Hashem will see that, and that means very much to Hashem, and speedily He will give us a geula shleima, like our sages said, Nisan Nigalu. Nisan is a time that they had the geula, so we should expect and we should hope that we're going to have the geula shleima, the korev mamish. Everybody should have a good Shabbos and celebrate b'simcha. Again, thanks for the organizers, and Mitzvah Hashem, there will be more things to come, as please have the patience to read through all the instructions and guidance and notifications. Good Shabbos. And I'll
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Chaikin.
You're welcome.
Asher Koach.
Kol Tov. Good Shabbos.
Asher Koach, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi Chaikin.
Rabbi Friedman, if you have a minute, we should finish off with the Friedman Mitzrayim Gealton.
Mitzrayim
Gealtavanu,
Beisavodim
Bedisanu, Mitzrayim
Gealtanu, Beisavodim Bedisanu, Mitzrayim Gealtanu, Beisavodim Bedisanu, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Gealtanu, mi beisavodim pidisanu, mi Mitzrayim Gealtanu, mi beisavodim pidisanu, mi Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim Gealtanu, mi beisavodim pidisanu, mi Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim.
Koyach.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Good.